Ministry of External Affairs finally announces the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Poland and Ukraine. In the aftermath of the war between Russia and Ukraine, the world looks like it has split into two blocks. But India decided to stay neutral and seek a resolution through diplomacy and dialogue. Now all eyes will be on Prime Minister Narendra Modi as he gets ready for his visit to Ukraine and Poland. This is Prime Minister Modi's second bilateral visit, and for the second time he is coming to Europe in his third tenure. Western critics have often accused India of siding with Russia to continue its trade in cheap oil, despite Modi making his position very clear from the beginning. When he met President Putin in Samarkand, he told President Putin this is not an era of war. In fact, during the G20 summit in New Delhi, everyone waited with a bated breath until the end to find out if a consensus will be built around the conflict. New Delhi was made to walk a tightrope to build consensus during G20 on the issue of Russia-Ukraine war. When the Prime Minister went to Russia last month for the summit level talks with President Putin, it raised eyebrows, and in fact Western critics went on to criticize Prime Minister Modi for friendly hugs and firm handshakes with President Putin. There were several remarks from US State Department, White House, etc. In fact, US Ambassador to India Eric Garcetti went on record to say at an event that strategic autonomy cannot apply in times of conflict. To this, the Ministry of External Affairs said India values its strategic autonomy, and its partnership with the US gives them the space to agree to disagree on certain issues while respecting each other's viewpoints. During this visit, a Russian missile struck a children's hospital in Ukrainian capital Kyiv, following which President Zelenskyy took to social media indirectly, criticizing Prime Minister Modi. Notably, however, there were no big tickets announcement in technology or defense sector when Prime Minister Modi went to Russia for summit level talks. Let's have a close look at the trajectory of the Prime Minister Modi's position on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Now, trajectory shows that it started with not an era of war stance in Samarkand, which was reiterated in the G20 joint statement. Prime Minister Modi further stressed on how solutions cannot be found on the battlefield during his recent visit to Russia, while also mentioning children's death in Ukraine, sitting next to President Putin. It is safe to say India's statements are not only pragmatic, but they are realistic and getting bolder with global resonance. India's strong voice for the global south. Critics often slam India for keeping its own interest above human life. However, India believes in neutrality without undermining the gravity of the situation. For instance, it has never stepped back from calling a spade a spade. Modi has proved this time and again in retrospect to show its solidarity with Ukraine. India sent a delegation to Swiss peace conference upon the request from the Swiss government, but did not sign the joint communique. Reason that India cited that all parties should be present whenever some consensus or communique is being issued, and Russia was not part of the Swiss peace conference. India is strongly voiced support on Black Sea Grain Initiative to enable the continuance of wheat trade from Ukraine. The Foreign Minister of Ukraine also visited India and met External Affairs Minister Jaishankar for bilateral talks. India has been sending multiple aid consignments to Ukraine since the beginning of the war. India has actually many roles to play as far as the war in Europe is concerned. It is that of a strong voice from South Asia that raises concern of the countries in the global south that are impacted by the conflict. Modi has not only offered to contribute to the negotiation, but has also done consistent groundwork to be fully prepared ahead of his visit to Kyiv from August 21st to 23rd. He took proactive efforts to understand the Russian perspective. While meeting Putin, he also took cognizance of Austria's viewpoint, which is an EU member but not a part of NATO. Modi is all set to visit Poland, the neighboring Ukraine, and the land which has witnessed the fallout ever since the war broke out. Prime Minister Modi will first hold talks with the President and Prime Minister of Poland. They will be told about Indian perspective and also the Russian perspective, as Prime Minister Modi met Putin last month only. After his visit to Poland, he is going to go to Ukraine. This is going to be a very, very significant visit, as Modi has done his groundwork ahead of his visit to Ukraine. Also shows his seriousness and commitment towards restoring peace in Europe, which would serve the larger global goal. He's also expected to travel to United States in September to take part in the address at the UN General Assembly. According to the provisional list of speakers for the general debate issued by UN, he is scheduled to address the high-level session on September 26th, as he is among the few global leaders who recently visited both Russia and Ukraine. It would be interesting to see if Modi speaks about his visit and suggests the formula for catalyzing early resolution of the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine.